Welcome to J is for Justice podcast. If live breaking news and following true crime is your thing, then please consider subscribing to my channel. And if you like what you see in my videos, please consider giving them a thumbs up. Hello, J is for Justicers. How are we this afternoon? Happy Thursday. Sorry for the delay. We are 11 minutes late. Welcome, potatoes. Hello, hello. How are things over there in England? All right. Well, I can't say I can commiserate with you on that one because, well, it cooled off here a little bit. It cooled off just a little. Look, it cooled off a little. I know you're like, give me a freaking break. I got snowflakes coming down. You're like, we got a little cold for. Oh, well, I hope that stops for you soon. Oh, Mike Sanner. He says, hey, J is for Justice. Were you busy putting something together? Hint, hint. I think he might have sent me the desk. Thank you, Mike Sanner. That is so generous of you. Oh, they can't hear you. Hold on. No, you're not muted. Hold on. My bad. Talk now. Hold your horses. I do this every time we go on StreamYard. I always forget to switch it over. Hold up. Okay. There, we've got Potato.
Hello.
There she is. No more one-sided. No more one-sided. Thank you for letting me know, though, Nightbot, Miss Nightbot. Oh, we got Sage as a new member. Sage, thank you for joining. Hot in the South, USA. The AC is on. Same here, Sage. Same here.
I don't want to hear it.
Yep, I was at the pool. I was at the pool yesterday. I was at the pool today, and it was just so nice. So,
No, you can really go off some people.
I know. Hey, that's what your friend in Florida is always supposed to do, right?
I'm building snowmen over here, and you're laying by the pool.
That one friend. That one friend. Hey, welcome all the members. We got Dr. Thrifty. Thank you for becoming a member. I guess I didn't notice you were green. Maybe you were gifted. Mary P. and Audra D. Jenny W. We got the white dog Carrie. I said hi to Sage. We got Peaky. We got Olive Juice and Allison. Hello. And then HJ, Monkey Viz. Hey, Monkey Viz and Chick Antique. Who else we got? We got an Argonon. Are you like the Argonon paper? Oh, you guys crack me up. Hello, Miss Staggs. Was she HJ? What a coinky dink. Well, I hope everybody who's getting snowed in stays very warm, light a fire, curl up, and hear about autopsy report, I guess.
Yeah, that warming feeling.
Yeah, we'll get the warm fuzzies. You guys just kick back and relax. So we're going to be talking about Debbie Collier. This is something we followed way back last September. And we can run through this. I've got the incident report from the police. And if anybody's not familiar with the case, I guess, this will give you a little bit of background. I'll start reading it. But on Sunday, September 11th, 2022 at approximately 12:28, Sergeant Ethan Neal was notified by Habersham 911 dispatch that a caller from Sirius XM service had been pinging a vehicle per the request of Athens Clarke County Police Department in reference to attempting to locate a missing person. The caller from Sirius XM advised dispatch that they had been attempting to locate the vehicle and believed it to have stopped or been pulled over in the area of Georgia 15 northbound in the area of Victory Home Lane, Clarksville, Georgia 30523. The vehicle was identified as a 2022 Chrysler Pacifica black With a Georgia tag CMQ 9309, the missing person was identified as Deborah Todd Collier, date of birth 9/2/1963. Sergeant Neal requested Officer Dakota Foster from the Tallulah Falls PD to be en route to the area to attempt to make contact. A short time later, Sergeant Neal was notified by Foster that he had located the vehicle, and Sergeant Neal responded to the scene. While en route, Sergeant Neal contacted the Athens-Clarke County Police Department and spoke with Sergeant Johnson. Johnson advised Neal the circumstances of the missing persons incident and informed him that they had been attempting to ping Collier's phone throughout the night. Johnson also advised Sergeant Neal that the last communication was to her daughter. He advised that Collier had used Venmo to send approximately $2,300 to her daughter with a message that stated something to the effect of "They won't let me go. There is a key to the house underneath a flower pot." And that's not verbatim, but that's kind of breaking it down. So, yeah, so we've got this Venmo that was sent to her daughter. And then I know some people had looked it up. I don't know if this is even true. I never saw the boyfriend of Debbie's daughter's court fines or whatever. But it was said that they matched up to the amount of the Venmo. But I don't know if that's correct. Do you?
Yeah, I remember that. I don't know how accurate that was, though.
Yeah, I don't either. I tend to like to go off the official documents, you know, like it's fun to play around and speculate, but the official docs and the trials and when we hear everything come out officially is really where it's going to be at.
Yeah. I mean, there was some money stuff going on, like her and Andrew. Is his name Andrew?
I think it's Andrew, yeah. Drew.
Yeah, they'd had some money issues and she'd been stealing from him and stuff like the year before or something. There was some money stuff going on.
Oh, yeah, there was a video of him. He was upset that,
yeah,
and then he wrote that note saying that he would harm her family if she didn't pay him back, and he wrote it in like a crayon. But I don't think that was associated with Debbie.
Mm-mm.
But at the time, you know, it was like, whoa, that's weird. He threatened him, you know.
Yeah. And given his background and stuff, like they had violence between them and everything, it just seemed like it kind of linked to him, but obviously they were cleared and stuff.
Yeah, they were cleared and we were all like, what?
Yeah.
Because it just all didn't make sense. And, you know, especially, I guess Amanda had kind of a sketchy past. So, you know, it's one of those things. And I think we have to be careful. I think it's another lesson to be careful of being quick to judge.
Yes.
I learn it every time, guys. We learn it every time. I mean, I do anyways. Like, of course, with the Heidi case, that was a big wake up call.
A huge reality shock.
It really was. It really was.
Like you really just don't know, do you?
No, and I'll never stop talking about that because it is something that everybody needs to take into consideration. So, okay, so upon Sergeant Neal's arrival, he observed the vehicle parked in what appeared to be a pull-off that leads to an old logging road directly off Georgia 15 northbound prior to Victory Home Lane. So this is in Athens, and that's where her husband was parking cars for the Georgia Bulldogs game.
Yeah.
So Sergeant Neal was notified by Foster that he had observed the vehicle in the same spot at approximately 1700 hours on 9/10. Wait.
Yeah.
Wait. Okay, that's what doesn't make sense. 1700 hours would be what time? 5? So 5 p.m. the day before, but she was at home in bed per her husband.
No, she was last seen on the 9th at 9 p.m. by her husband. That's what time they went to bed, and they slept in separate bedrooms. And he had gone to work the next day on the 10th at like 9 a.m., but he hadn't seen her, but he saw that her vehicle was in the driveway.
Oh, I missed a day then. I thought that was the 10th that she went to bed at 9.
No, it was the 9th. She was reported missing on the 10th, and then they found her on the 11th.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense. All right, because I was like, what? Okay, so he saw it at 5 o'clock on the 10th, and then, but he also said that vehicles routinely pull into this area because it was like a little drive, like off the highway, kind of like a little driveway.
Yeah.
Foster also advised Sergeant Neal that the vehicle was unlocked and was unoccupied. Foster also stated that he had walked into the wood line a short distance to see if he could immediately locate Collier, but was unable to do so. Sergeant Neal requested Lee Arundel Correctional Institute K-9, Lacey K-9, to be en route to the scene. Sergeant Neal also requested Georgia State Patrol Aviation to be en route. A short time later, dispatch informed Sergeant Neal that Lacey was unable to respond due to the unavailability of a K-9 and was advised that GSP Aviation would be en route. Sergeant Neal requested Deputy Blake Forrester to be en route to attempt to locate Collier. While on scene, awaiting the arrival of Forrester, Collier's daughter, Amanda Bearden, arrived on scene in a hysterical state. Bearden began screaming that this vehicle belonged to her mother. Bearden was notified by Athens-Clarke County PD that the vehicle was being pinged by SiriusXM and provided her with the approximate location of the latest ping. Sergeant Neal and Foster, sounds like there was a disconnect between cops. Because, like, why are they giving Amanda Bearden that information?
Yeah, she'd been in contact with them like all day. And so, yeah, she knew that
that's the police department she was calling, that we had the calls.
Yeah.
So Sergeant Neal and Foster spoke briefly with Bearden, asking general questions in reference to Collier's mental health state and briefly about her medical history. Bearden advised Sergeant Neal and Foster that her mother did not have any history of mental health issues and denied any suicidal tendencies. She also stated that her mother had a bad back and couldn't have walked far. While speaking with Bearden, Forrester arrived on scene. Sergeant Neal briefed Forrester on the incident and requested that he deploy his K-9 to attempt to locate Collier. Forrester deployed the K-9 and began searching for Collier. He was with Neal and Foster. During the track, Sergeant Neal allowed Forrester to stay 25 to 30 feet ahead of him while he and Foster scanned the woods for any sign of Collier. As Forrester proceeded southeast through the woods, Forrester called out to Neal that he had located an item. Sergeant Neal and Foster quickly approached Forrester. Sergeant Neal observed a red tote on its side near an uprooted tree. At the ball of the root of the tree, Sergeant Neal observed what appeared to be the remains of a fire. As Sergeant Neal approached the fire, he looked further down the embankment. Sergeant Neal observed what appeared to be a partially burnt blue in color tarp. As he looked further down the embankment, from the tarp, he observed a nude female laying on her back, grasping a small tree with her right hand. Sergeant Neal approached the female, immediately observing her to be obviously deceased and identifying her as Collier. Sergeant Neal observed Collier's remains to be apparently burned with what appeared to be charring to the abdomen. Sergeant Neal instructed Forrester to hold the immediate area while he returned to his patrol car to make the appropriate calls for assistance. Sergeant Neal instructed, you can cut me off at any time if you have anything to interject. Sergeant Neal instructed Forrester to hold the immediate area. Oh, I already read that. He returned to his patrol vehicle and established a crime scene using a crime scene tape and began a crime scene log. At this time, Corporal Andra Townsend arrived on scene and took over maintenance of the scene for the duration of this incident. Sergeant Neal contacted Habersham County Sheriff's Office Criminal Investigations Division, Investigator George Kaysen, and requested his response to the scene. Sergeant Neal also requested that the State Fire Marshal's Office Agent Brian Smith be en route to the scene. A short time later, Kaysen, along with Cale Garrison and crime scene technician Kayla Neal, arrived on scene. So Sergeant Neal and Kayla Neal, they must be related. The scene was turned over to Kaysen, Garrison, and crime scene technician Neal. Sergeant Neal requested next list wrecker, RJ's Wrecker Service, to be en route to remove the vehicle. Upon completion of the initial investigation of the scene, Collier's remains were collected by the coroner, Kenneth Franklin, with assistance from the county fire and EMS. RJ's Wrecker removed the vehicle. Sergeant Neal forwarded RJ's Wrecker Service from the scene, or followed RJ's record service from the scene to the sheriff's office where the vehicle was placed into evidence. On 9/11/2022, the next day at 13:30, Habersham County Dispatch placed a call to Deputy Forrester in reference to a canine assist for a missing person. Why is this again? Why is that repeating itself? Didn't I just read that?
Yeah, because they'd said that they didn't have.
This is Blake.
Dog.
Okay, one is Blake and one is Neil.
Ah.
So let me see what's different here. So he arrived on the scene at 14:20. He was briefed by Neil about the missing person. The female was described as an older female, late 50s, possibly 60s, and had back problems. So I think Amanda let them know she had a bad back, but no mental issues.
Mm-hmm.
Deputies did a quick scan, but did not push in. Nothing was in the vehicle, and there was no known clothing description. They didn't know if she was alone or if someone was with her at that point. So then they deployed Canine Zane. He cast it around the driver's side of the vehicle and then pushed into the wood line to what appeared to be a logging road. They pushed in, casting for odor approximately 50 yards northwest and could not establish a track. Then when they went south-southeast, Zane was able to establish a track. He went about a quarter of a mile. So she was about a quarter of a mile in. And that was when Deputy Forrester noticed the red bag through the brush. And then as they kept approaching the bag, they noticed a blue object that was a tarp. And then maybe 10 to 15 feet down the hill, a tan object, which he approached and could tell was a human body. At that point, Deputy Forrester held what he had, visually clearing the area for any threats, and called for Sergeant Neal. And then Sergeant Forrester confirmed that it was a female. Sergeant Neal returned to his patrol car to make the calls. They established the crime scene. No further action from Forrester. And then we have Townsend, and that's it. So let's get into, we've got a little more information. So the weird thing was that she's like, the key is in the flower pot, right? And like her daughter would know where the key is. Mm-hmm. So that part still doesn't make sense to me.
Like if you say to someone, they won't let me go, it kind of implies that the person you're telling knows who those people are.
Yeah. Yep. So she was seen in the Dollar General or Family Dollar in Clayton, Georgia, wearing the Georgia Bulldogs jersey, a blue skirt, and she bought a rain poncho, a reusable tote bag, a refillable torch lighter, 7.5 feet by 9.5 feet tarp, and paper towels. She left at 3:09. She spent 10 minutes in her vehicle and then drove off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so all of those items that she bought were the items that were found at the crime scene. At the scene. And the 10 minutes that she spent in the parking lot was the time that she sent the Venmo to her daughter.
That was when the Venmo was made. Yeah. Weird.
She'd also apparently text her son as well, but I don't think they ever said like what was in that message. But apparently she texted her son and then did the Venmo, and she never texted her husband.
Oh, that's odd.
Yeah. And afterwards, when Amanda was talking about it, she did an interview. She was saying that her only explanation was that her children were like her life. And so, she was thinking about them. If it was like a unaliving herself kind of situation, then maybe she was just thinking about her kids and not really thinking about her husband.
Yeah, and it says here that, okay, so they had their first press conference on the 30th. So like a few weeks went by. And then they said that she could have been the victim of a targeted killing.
Yeah.
Here's a quote. Here's a quote from the sheriff. There is nothing that has come from this investigation that would support the theory that either this was a random act of violence or that there was a killer in the area. At this time, the investigation is leading us to the proposition that Miss Collier's death was personal and targeted.
And they ruled out being a suicide as well, which is kind of crazy that they circle back to that.
Very weird. So then on the 17th of November, I guess it came out that she died by suicide, but I don't remember that in November. Do you?
I can't remember.
I thought it just came out in February, but
no, I think what just came out was the extent of her injuries. Because first they were saying like she had charring and stuff to her abdomen.
Oh, right.
And then it came out that she had 80% of second and third degree burns.
Right. Okay, so let me... Dr. Baden. We all know Baden. How do you say that? Baden. He believes that she was likely murdered. So this came out on February 22nd, 2023. Famed forensic pathologist Dr. Michael Baden believes that Georgia mom Debbie Collier was likely murdered and didn't kill herself, as authorities claim. The former New York City chief medical examiner said Collier's autopsy raises questions about how law enforcement came to believe she died by suicide, namely because the report notes she inhaled no soot or carbon monoxide. But that came out, right? Because the autopsy report, it says the autopsy report obtained by the Post and provided to Baden for review claims Collier died from inhalation of superheated gases, thermal injuries, and a hydrocodone intoxication, and speculates she died in a flash fire due to the presence of a nearby gas can.
Yeah. So they didn't say that to start with, that they found a gas can, but it was melted. So it made it seem like there was a flash fire, like it exploded in her face.
I mean, at first they said just her abdomen was charred, but then now we find out that 80% of her body was burned.
Yeah. With second and third degree burns, that's extensive burning. And I think like her hair had gone and everything.
Yeah, I don't remember either Black Knight hearing that back in November. But maybe it was, I think Potato's right, though, that they just said it was suicide. And we were all like, what? And then I think we were waiting for like autopsy results. And then, just one thing happens after another. And we forget about the case until something pops up. So Baden says it would have to have been severely windy to blow away any carbon monoxide. And then he also said about the medical examiner there, he says, I think the medical examiner doesn't understand what forensic pathology is.
Wow.
Oh, yikes. Yikes. So they said it was like a targeted thing, but okay. What my theory is, and like based on, I've been reading things on Reddit. I know Reddit's not a source, but it does give you ideas. And there's people on there that, post theories that you're like, whoa, I never thought of that,
I flashed and said, wow, pretty far out.
Okay, let's finish reading through the timeline and then we'll get to the theories. So, he says that the levels of hydrocodone in Collier's system were higher than a therapeutic dose, but it's impossible to know what her tolerance was for the drug because she had been prescribed it for a long time. He said that a little less than half people would die from those levels, but if she did die of an overdose, the question of the fire remains. And he said it should have been labeled a hydrocodone overdose with post-mortem fire injuries. It makes it more confusing, he said, of the toxicology report.
There's no way that she could have died from an overdose, though. Like, just from how she was found clinging onto a tree.
Right. Okay, so early in the investigation, police said she was naked when discovered, and he said, you usually need clothing to set yourself on fire.
Yeah, and they never explained that either. Did she have any clothes on the top half, or was it burnt off? They never
They didn't
specified what she
specify.
was.
Mm-mm. Police say that Collier was alone in the woods when she killed herself. Oh, wait. The autopsy noted that there was charred remnants of clothing present in the distribution of the lower torso. And they say she was alone, but haven't provided any proof of the claim. If she died before the fire, as Baden believes, it would imply that someone else had to have been there. The medical examiner for the GBI admit they did not come to the conclusion that Collier killed herself by themselves, writing in the autopsy that, quote, investigation by law enforcement revealed circumstances consistent with a self-intentioned act. Right? So this is different than someone just committing suicide. It's a self-intentioned act. And he says that means the police told me it was a suicide. We're not just rubber stamps for the police, but some people think we are. So there's Collier's house. She lived in that golf ball style house. So after 2 months, they never named a suspect, and her death was declared a suicide in November. And then Baden says, usually the GBI is much better than most. I'm kind of upset. They would call this kind of a case suicide, especially with her being found naked. It's outrageous. Well, that doesn't help matters if there is a logical explanation. I know that, people say, what? I'm reading chat, and you guys are like, no, there's no logical explanation. Like, this is foul play. It's kind of like the guy that was found rolled up in a rug.
Yeah.
How is it not foul play when you're found rolled up in a rug and you're dead?
There's no way that's not foul playing. I mean, just the very thing of being rolled up in something means that someone else was there. You can't roll yourself up.
No, now that,
Crazy.
I mean, I would think being found dead in a rug that's foul play in itself.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
So let me tell you about what I found on Reddit. Do you want to know? Are you ready?
I'm ready.
McNo.
Okay. So I was reading through Reddit and I found some Debbie Collier posts. And there was some people that were like, they were all saying the same thing that we were saying. No way. There's no way someone did this. So there was a couple people that said that they had, done drugs in the past and had drug problems. And they were suggesting, and there was more than one, that it was something called shake and bake meth. And I was like, what is that?
I have never heard of shake and bake.
It's
Like, I
shake
thought
and
you
bake,
did, like,
and
a
I
lab.
helped. Do you guys have shake and bake chicken there?
Shake and bake chicken?
Yeah, we have this stuff, potato. It's like breadcrumbs, and it comes with plastic bags, and you put the breadcrumbs, like it's seasoned, and you put your chicken in there and you shake it, and it's called shake and bake.
Yeah, we have those. It's not called shake and bake, though.
And I helped. Okay, so I looked it up, and I was like, okay, weird. But let's watch this video. Potato, you should be able to hear it as well through StreamYard.
Okay, cool.
Can you hear it?
It's not me.
No.
You cannot.
I cannot hear it.
Hang on. Let me open it up in Chrome. That's why. 2 seconds, guys. Let me work this for the potatoes.
I just saw someone in chat say that her daughter had only been there for a few days. She'd literally moved back on the 8th.
Yeah, she did. She was only there for a little bit, and like her and her boyfriend were problems. I think that there was actually, oh, you know what? The neighbor also said that there was fighting next door.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, said they heard like a loud commotion and stuff the night before, which would have been the 9th, which was weird because they never said what time that was. And her husband said he saw her last at 9 p.m. So when was that whole thing?
I don't know. And the other thing too was that Amanda was with him when they reported her missing. So Amanda must have went over there. Yeah, I read that Amanda was there and they called police together and like I don't know if that's her bio dad or not.
No, it's not. No, stepdad.
Oh, it's her stepdad. Okay, I know he got on
Yeah.
the phone and spoke with them at the same time that she called.
Yeah,
So
because she said that she didn't realize she had a Venmo until later on that evening. So didn't realize anything was wrong. And she said that normally, like all throughout the day, they'd be talking and stuff. And then she realized that she hadn't heard from her mom in a while.
well, that's weird.
And that's when she saw the Venmo. She said she'd been cleaning and stuff, so she hadn't been checking her phone.
And it's funny too because the Family Dollar cashier said that she acted totally normal, that she wasn't, she didn't seem to be scared or panicked or anything like that. So
Yeah. It's weird that she was dressed up for like game day and stuff as well. Like if she had intention to go out and do something like this. It looked like she was going to meet her husband like at the game. It's just very strange.
There's a couple people in chat though that are saying, yeah, shake and bake meth. It's something that's supposed to be easier. You relieve the pressure or it'll blow up. See, was in chat and Mandy Joe. Yeah. Okay, so let's watch this video about shake and bake. 'Cause I had no idea. This is 12 years old. This report here. So this has been going on for quite some time. I had no idea. Scary.
It's not made for it, and it'll cause people.
Oh wait, did I share it with you? Potato?
I can see it.
Oh, can you hear it?
It's not playing.
A new warning for Iowans to be on the lookout for a new, more powerful type of meth lab. And the Department of Public Safety warns that evidence of this type of meth lab could be lying around anywhere.
News Channel 8's Mark Carlson is looking into all the concerns, and he has tonight's top story.
Kevin and Stacey, the Department of Public Safety says meth is resurging as a problem for the state, and they're alerting Iowans to take precautions that could prevent you from becoming the next victim of a meth lab or explosion. It's an unsettling feeling, watching your home burn right before your eyes, all because someone's meth lab has gone wrong. An instance like this one have happened twice in Des Moines in the last couple of months.
They're able to move this back into more populated areas, and that's why I think we've seen the rash of explosions and fires at these multi-unit places, because people can move them back into their apartments because they're not giving off that smell.
Gary Kendall, director of the Governor's Office of Drug Control Policy, says that smell is gone because of a new method perpetrators are now using.
That's really one of the more dangerous things about this, is that they're using a pop bottle to create a chemical reaction.
A pop bottle. You see them laying around all the time, but now you might want to think twice before you or your kids pick one up.
Really just picking it up could make it unstable enough to explode, depending on how long it's been there and how much pressure's built up.
This is because these sludge-filled bottles oftentimes aren't properly handled.
If you do it and you don't do it right, it'll also could create a flash fire or an explosion. So it's really kind of an unstable process.
A process shown here in this video from the state's Narcotic Enforcement Division. Watch as you can see the sparks begin to fly.
You don't have folks that are, chemists that are doing this. They're meth heads usually, so it's not the most standard of processes.
And now that perpetrators are moving away from the old materials like gas cans, tubes, and anhydrous ammonia, Kendall says you may come across a meth lab while you're out for a walk. But he also says be on the lookout for what may be inside of those bottles.
You'll see somebody with a lot of coal packs or a lot of garden fertilizer, and it doesn't seem like they need that much or should need that much. That's something that should raise a red flag for folks.
This new meth-making method also has parents concerned. Many parents posting comments on our KCCI.com Facebook page. Michelle Lee Nicholson writes, kids need to be told. I read somewhere where a little kid found one of these 2-liter bottles in a park. I've recently told all my kids not to pick up any 2-liter bottles because of the possibility of it being a shake and bake bottle. And Kevin, law enforcement says if you come across a suspicious bottle, don't wait, call 911.
Good advice, Mark Carlson.
This is Iowa. 12 years ago. Who would have known? Who would have known? So, let me pull our faces back up here. Excuse me. Potato, are you with me? You're muted. But...
Yeah, I'm here. I was listening on YouTube.
Oh, I'm like, who would have? I just heard myself. Who would have known? God, I hate hearing my own voice.
I've turned it down up.
Yuck. Okay, let's get us back over here. I just screwed up my whole screen. I don't know why I did that. So what do you think about the pop bottle theory?
I think it's crazy that you can even do that.
Yeah.
People would even try with the chance that if you don't release those gases, it's going to explode on you.
Right.
And they're just out doing it in parks and stuff.
Well, and like little kids picking them up. So like this lady's like, I had to tell my kids not to touch pop bottles. I couldn't help but think of my home state of Michigan because pop bottles are returnable. So like people go around and collect pop cans all the time and take them back. They're 10 cents each.
Gosh, so they could be picking those up.
Right. I never even knew this was a thing. I must say I've never seen a bottle with that white shit in it, but they're putting like all kinds of chemicals in there. So what I was reading on Reddit is that they were saying like she bought the poncho for to put on to protect herself or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then the torch is, I guess, what really stood out to these people on Reddit was that if you're a regular, smoker or whatever, you straight up, you don't use a torch lighter. Like torch lighters are for drug purposes. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what a torch lighter is? Like the butane ones?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So she bought like a refill for that. So I don't know what you guys think of that theory, but I was like, okay, well, that doesn't make sense though, because they said it was a suicide. So why would they say it's a suicide if it was like an accident? But what they noted in the Baden article was that not was it a suicide, but it was a intentional, what was it?
Mm-hmm.
Where's that wording again? Yes. Investigation by law enforcement revealed circumstances consistent with a self-intention act. And they say that this one guy, I watched a video. Let me see if I can find that video. Yeah, don't come in and say you don't have sound. Like,
did I ask them to do that?
Shake and bake meth bottle. So they were saying like they shake it at their abdomen, like away from their, like shaking it outwards away from their abdomen. And when it explodes, that's why the abdomen was charred.
Mm-hmm. Well, if it was something like that, it would explain why there was no soot and carbon monoxide found in her lungs. It was just heated gases.
Potato, there's videos on here how to make meth.
Oh, jeez.
What? You mean to tell me that I can't say murder or kill or essay and I get demonetized and there's how to make video, make meth?
How to do it.
What?
Jennifer loves horses.
I'm interested to know though what you need to make it, because it used to be like lots of Sudafed and stuff, right?
Wake up.
Is there another way of making it?
Oh yeah, they use all kinds of nasty shit. Look at, they're using lithium from batteries. Here we go. Let's watch this guy. Riverfront Times video. Sergeant Jason Grelliner of the Franklin County Narcotics Enforcement shows us how to make meth. That seems a little counterproductive. I don't know why the cops are making. Maybe he's just explaining it. It says explain.
The shake and bake method.
I hope it's not a how-to.
Or what they're calling the one pot method is basically the lithium anhydrous method, but instead of, it's all about quickness and how quickly I can get this made. And what they've learned how to do now is combine many steps into one container. So instead of extracting the tablet wash and making my own anhydrous in separate vessels, we're going to do all that at one time. And the problem becomes that we have all sorts of problems. First off, we have a water-reactive metal in lithium in the bottle, and we're going to actually add water to the bottle. We have, what else do we have? We have Coleman fuel, probably a gallon of Coleman fuel, which is extremely explosive, or we may use ether, and it's extremely flammable and explosive. We're using ammonium nitrate. We're using lithium metal. We're using pseudoephedrine.
So they do have the
using
Sudafed in there.
sodium hydroxide. And we're mixing this all into a bottle, and what actually happens when we shake this bottle up and let it sit is that all of these reactions are going on at the same time. We're converting ammonium nitrate into anhydrous ammonia. That is mixing with the lithium metal, which is mixing with the pseudoephedrine. But to get the ammonium nitrate to react, we have to have sodium hydroxide and water. Those two are forming a solution that's mixing with the ammonium nitrate. The water is also touching the lithium metal. You can actually see flames in the bottle.
Oh, shit.
So now we may have a 2-liter or a 1-gallon bottle with a gallon of Coleman fuel in it, or a half a gallon, that also has fire in the bottle. And we have to burp the bottle. It works up to 7 or 8 pounds of pressure. So we have to relieve the pressure from the bottle at different times. That allows oxygen to get inside. That helps to form our fire triangle of an ignition source, oxygen, and a fuel load. So there's all sorts of different things going on in this bottle at the same time. It's very dangerous. It can explode from pressure. Once it does that, the lithium can come in contact with the water. That can get the Coleman fuel or the ether on fire. They can explode because the lithium sets off the Coleman because there's enough air in the bottle. Then they just become explosive fireballs. You can do it in a 12-ounce soda bottle. We've got guys doing it in Gatorade bottles. There were arrests in Indiana where people were being arrested, and when they were being booked, they were finding reactions in people's pockets. So basically it's taking all of this on the table, condensing it into one bottle, and doing it all at one time.
People do that in their car.
They do it in their car. They, like I said, we got people walking down the street doing it in their jacket pockets.
In their jacket pockets? Meth explosion caught on tape? Oh,
At
shit.
Battery Inn and Suites, something was reportedly cooking in room 110.
The precursors, that we saw led us to believe it was a meth lab, and undoubtedly something went wrong in their cooking process.
From this surveillance video, you can see the room blow up at the end of the hallway. Look closer. The wall and the window go flying some 25 feet into the parking lot.
So we don't see anybody coming or going into the room, and then all of a sudden you just see the room explode.
6 pieces. All right. What'd you say?
Michelle Cook works next door and didn't hear or feel a thing. She just noticed that business started booming.
And actually, I think we got a lot of business from it. And just people wanted to know what was going on, so they came on through here. But we were busy.
Police say after the explosion, the 3 people in that room took off into the woods. And
one
of them was burned on 35% of his body.
Carlton Palmer made it a short distance before being picked up and taken to the hospital. His wife, Brandy, reportedly kept running.
On the video, he runs one way, she runs one way.
Add their friend Derek Robinson to the mix, and the trio's being charged with making this mess.
It's very scary as a police officer, as a citizen, just to know that, it's that close. It's very scary.
This is Beulah Battery's first meth explosion. They hope it will be the last. Tiffany Craig.
Okay, so he's in a hotel room, and he gets 35% of his body gets burned. Imagine holding it. This is crazy.
It's a drug that is claiming lives, not only of those addicted to it, but anyone who comes in contact with it.
And now it's becoming even for days, and in that you're ignoring your family, your friends, all your responsibilities.
Bolden is picking up the pieces and putting her life back together at the Addiction Recovery Resources, a drug rehab center in Metairie. She's
that can cause delayed injury to your lungs.
His advice, never touch a plastic bottle that looks suspicious. As for the people who use the highly addictive drug,
So that's shit. Epsom salts, alcohol, xylene, frickin' gas line fluid. I don't know what's in that mason jar, but just a bunch of effing chemicals.
journey to recovery can be a tedious process.
If you are using it for a long period of time at high doses, it may take up to a year to detox off of crystal meth.
Bolden is now 3 months into her treatment, and though she has a long road ahead, she's taking it one.
That was 11 years ago. I wonder where she's at now. Just curious. This is such a horrible, horrible drug. Let's let Potato catch up. She's on the lag with y'all. So I want to show you this guy is what I came across. So this guy here was shaking a bottle, and it says, here, I'm going to read you his story. Dennis Potter started doing meth when he was 16. 2 years later, he learned how to make the shit. It's so easy, he says, any person can do it. You can go to Walgreens, Home Depot, and Walmart, and they sell every bit of the ingredients. Those ingredients include things like drain cleaner, lithium batteries, and pseudoephedrine. Easy access to these ingredients means more meth addicts are making the drugs themselves. They're using a method known as shake and bake, and often winding up in the hospital burn wards. According to Potter, the shake and bake method involves mixing together everything in a plastic bottle, then shaking, cooling, and venting the container as you go. Do it right, and you end up with at least several grams of meth in less than an hour. Do it wrong, and you can find yourself holding an explosive fireball of corrosive chemicals. Potter says he knew the risks, but he'd made meth 1,000 times before with no problems. Then one night, he was teaching a friend the shake and bake method, and something went wrong. The bottle took an orange glow, and within seconds, an explosion blew the walls off the room and set Potter on fire.
Blew the walls off.
The walls.
That is some explosion.
Yeah. Potter spent the next 5 weeks wrapped in bandages, trying to recover at the burn unit at Mercy Medical in St. Louis. And the Dr. Michael Smock, the director of Mercy's burn unit, says over the past few years, he's been seeing more cases like Potter's. He said, as best we can tell, since we've been trying to keep track of these numbers, we think it's about 35 patients a year, or 15% of the total burn patients. And then over at Vanderbilt University Medical Center burn unit in Nashville, Dr. Jeffrey Guy says their number is closer to 30%. And he says because the shake and bake method is so easy, more people are trying to make their own meth and getting hurt in the process. We're seeing people that are probably quite a bit more amateur methamphetamine producers. The burns are typically always involving the hands and arms, and in the more severe cases, the chest, face, and with severe inhalation injury. You're basically holding the lab inside a 2-liter bottle, which you're holding too close to your body, much like you'd cradle a football. So I don't know. I mean, and this guy Potter, he quit, right? He's been clean for 6 months in this article, and he says he hates meth. He's been clean for about 6 months, but admits he misses it every day. This shit is evil.
Mm-hmm.
Evil. So I don't know. I mean, I think it's plausible that, you know, that's what could have happened to her.
Yeah, if it was something like that, they would have found all that stuff at the scene as well. Everything she'd been using.
What do you mean?
If that's what happened, they would have found like remnants of all that stuff that she'd been using.
Do you not think they did?
Well, they haven't said that they did.
But we don't have the complete report. So I just wanted to let you guys know I did request all of her investigation case file. How much did they want? 170 bucks?
170.
Yeah, they wanted 170 and then they want $50 deposit to start pulling the stuff. I'm like, I don't think so. So I might shrink it down and maybe like break it down into different requests, because sometimes if you put too much, they give you the first 2 hours free.
Yeah.
Jen P says, I've been hearing about Mountain Dew meth and I thought it was a joke. No, unfortunately it's not. Emily Narb, here in my city, a scientist, doctor in science, started a meth lab and blew her house up a few years ago.
Oh my gosh.
Jennifer S says, I read it's the most highly addictive drug next to heroin. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
It's awful. So, yeah, I don't know. What else did we have to go over with Deborah?
I think that was it.
Yeah, that was. Heather says people don't go from using Vicodin for a chronic condition to shake and bake meth. So I'm not saying that she was maybe like a huge meth user. I'm not saying that at all. She obviously had hydrocodone in her system. But I think, wasn't it said that she was not getting pills anymore? Or wasn't there something her daughter said about she wasn't getting her prescription? Or I don't know. Maybe that,
not sure.
Maybe that wasn't said. I thought I heard that, but you know what? Anyways, but this is how a lot of meth users start, and heroin users. They start because they're taking opioids for a bad back. It's not because they're bad people. It's just a bad drug. You know, they injure themselves and they get these drugs from their doctor. And 12 years ago, 15 years ago, these doctors were handing them out like fucking candy.
Yeah.
I mean, it was no problem to go to a pain clinic and get as many pills as you wanted. So what they did was they handed them out like candy. And then they got these people's tolerance all built up. And then they said, guess what? The FDA says we can't give you that many pills anymore. Well, guess what? They don't get as many, and they've got this tolerance built up, and then they withdraw. And if they can't get the pills and they buy it, you know, they're expensive on the street too. So if you can't buy them on the street, your next best thing is going to be the meth or the heroin. And it's just the way it is. I mean, if it wasn't that way, we wouldn't have this epidemic.
Yeah. Desperate people do desperate things.
They do.
And if you're in a lot of pain and you find something
and that gives you relief,
it's easier to get hold of.
Mm-hmm. It's fucking sad. It's really sad, because I really do think that could have happened, and that, you know, she planned on going to the game, or like watching the game or something with the game. Because her husband was there parking cars, and she was all decked out, you know, for the game, in her game gear, their visor on and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, who knows? She could have just went there and was going to do that and then go on her way, and this happened.
Yeah. I don't think it was intentional.
Mm-mm.
Like, I don't think that she planned to not be here anymore.
Mm-mm.
And especially as they said it was a self-inflicted act, that doesn't necessarily mean that, you know, she wanted to
die. Right. It was just the act ended up causing her death. And that was an act that she, you know, decided to do. And I just want to tell everyone that is in chat that is an addict, recovering addict. If you're an addict, get help. There's a lot. It's so hard though. I know it sounds cliche to say get help, but I can promise you, like, if you're an addict right now, like, there's people in your life that are worried about you. You may not see it or you may not recognize it, but there are. I guarantee it. There's always someone who's noticed something or a change and they're worried about you, you know? But to all the ones that are recovering, man, hats off to you. Because all these stories, it's sad. It ruins families. It ruins lives. It ruins everything.
Yeah.
And you know,
And
one
people
good
really do care.
They do. They really do. And I think the stigma is going away. You know, now it's not, oh, you're a junkie. No, you're a human and you're a victim of big pharma. I mean, let's just say it. Lisa Green says Percocets are $10 to $20 a piece. The law is telling you what, Lala? I think the law was just saying what happens when you do that. I don't think that cop was encouraging by any means. I feel like he was discouraging by saying, you know, what can happen. Crime and Crochet says, I'm 18 years off of pills. If I can do it, anyone can. Oh my gosh. Like if I had a huge applause, you would get it. Let me give you a roly-poly for that.
Roly-poly,
Daddy's little fatty.
Daddy's gonna be a man someday.
I'm sorry. It's the best I could do. But yeah, I mean, I don't think addicts need to be going to jail. I don't think that helps. I think that there needs to be a total overhaul of helping people with mental health and helping people battling addictions.
Definitely.
Pisses me off. I know. I'm proud of all of you guys. Look at Mark Klein's dancing to Roly Poly. Lala, I guess, isn't buying it. Let's do a poll. But I mean, if you guys put yourself in Amanda's shoes and Steve's shoes, her husband, Steve Collier, if you put yourself in their shoes and all of this comes together and they figure out that, you know, your mom was in a desperation mode and this happened. And that it had made like mainstream media and, you know, people were following it and it was all over YouTube. Would you want to maybe keep that hush hush just out of the sheer respect for your mom or your daughter or your sister or your wife? If that was an option for me, I would take it.
Yeah.
Do you think that is an option that they would say, like, you know, they add that little clause in there, like it was a deliberate act, but not necessarily, you know, due to like a depression type thing, but something that she did contributed to her death. I don't know about the grasping of the tree. I mean, I don't want to be too graphic, but I feel like if that blew up and like she caught on fire, like I would grab something too to try to climb up that embankment if I was on fire.
You'd be panicking. I mean, she wouldn't be in control of what she was doing. She could have fallen and just tried to grab. It's horrible to think about, but it's not an instant death, is it?
No, it's not. Eileen says, my sister crashed her Harley and paralyzed her arm. They tried an experimental surgery that brought on major nerve pain issues. She got addicted to Oxy and is now schizophrenic and wrote us all off. Dude, that shit makes me want to cry.
Yeah, that is really
because it's not your sister. Like, I'm sure you look at her and you don't even recognize her. Like, that's awful. I'm really sorry. And I'm not saying this to be down on Debbie in any way. I mean, certainly not. I mean, this is the grim reality of the opioid pandemic here. Or epidemic. What is it? Pandemic or epidemic?
Epidemic.
Yeah, the COVID was the pandemic.
He's like, hey, sorry, I'm yawning a lot.
What, Lala? What does that mean? You can't say that in here. Don't say that about the daughter. What's wrong with you?
In the name of Jesus, Father God, Lord.
Can someone delete that, please? Sorry, Lala. That's not cool. That's good, Argonon. Roly poly. Oh, we were going to do a poll. That's right. Okay. Start a poll. Do you think that Debbie's death was an accidental? Okay. Go ahead and answer the poll. I'm curious what you guys think.
There was leakage.
I'm up here, you morons! Come and get me!
Jennifer S. says it's hard. Addiction is really hard to kick. And it hurts in so many ways. It really does. People with legitimate pain are being forced to take... I agree with you, He said people with legitimate pain are being forced to take street drugs.
It's so sad that they're forced into a position like that.
It's bad everywhere, crime and crochet. They said it's really bad up north. You can't buy Sudafed in Georgia without your ID. You can't in any state, I don't think. And there's also a limit on how much you can buy. I know, Lala, but the girl lost her mom. Let's not beat her up in chat. It's not cool. I'm all about the victims. Always about the victims. So yeah. So that was what did I make you laugh about, Mark? Florida girl says, why would she text they won't let me go? And why was she grasping a tree? It was someone else. I don't know. Maybe she wasn't.
Yeah.
Maybe she was. I don't know. Could something have been like, they won't let me go? Like, I don't know. Maybe part of that was, I don't know. I can't explain that.
If she did have some mental issues going on, though, maybe she was talking about, I mean, she could have been like hearing voices or something, and that could have been the they that won't let her go. I mean, when you're in that kind of situation, you don't necessarily make sense.
I have a theory. Little far-fetched theory, but let me know what you think. So what if she was sending the Venmo money and somehow her phone did like the text to speak thing and she was like talking? Could she have been like talking to somebody? Oh no, she was in the car in the parking lot, wasn't she?
Yeah. But you can't see if there's anyone else in the vehicle with her because the windows are blacked out. You can't see into the back. There could have been someone in the vehicle with her.
Like, was she on the phone, like saying, oh, hey, that the key's in the flower pot?
All that, yeah.
Or like, I have a theory. I wonder if she was fibbing about where she was. And maybe her daughter may not have said this, but maybe her daughter thought she was parking cars with the dad or the stepdad. And maybe she said, oh, they're not going to let me leave, kind of.
Yeah. Well, she said that they had been like messaging and stuff back and forth all day. Up until that point, because they said that she turned her phone off after she sent the Venmo.
Yeah, like
So
maybe
she didn't hear
Amanda
anymore
wanted
after
her to
that.
like buy them food or something. And she was like, oh, well, you can just come here and give me the money that you're going to loan me. And then we can get food. And maybe she was saying back like, oh, they're not going to let me go. Like, they're not going to let me leave. The keys in the flower pot. I don't know. I mean, I'm just insinuating. I know you didn't, Lala. It's cool. I just think that it's not far-fetched. And oh gosh, Eileen, I don't know about all that. That's kind of gross. I did hear that though. You got to be careful with them psychics. Emily thinks yes, that last theory. No, not for food. I think she was giving her that money. Probably for court fees. Do we know why Amanda and the boyfriend moved back? Was it because they were kicked out of somewhere?
They'd been living with her brother before that.
Oh.
In Maryland. I don't know why they left.
It is weird. I mean, I agree with you guys. I was just trying to come up with a plausible explanation when I came across this meth thing and like the whole abdomen. You know, that was like a telltale sign. And that was what they said in the very beginning. They've never faltered from the abdomen being burnt.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much why when I saw that the meth thing, you know, a telltale sign was the abdomen burns, I was like, oh, maybe that's it. Because she did buy the torch lighter, which would be used for that purpose. So I don't know. I mean, totally theorizing, totally speculating. At any rate, rest in peace, Debbie. I'm sure her coworkers miss her, and sounds like she worked at this real estate agency for years and years.
Oh, and it is interesting though that for the whole week before this happened, she did take off work. She hadn't been in.
Well, maybe she was having withdrawals, and maybe she
Possibly.
was ill. Because when you have withdrawals from that stuff, you literally feel like death, like you have the flu. I mean, I don't know from experience, but I've heard about it, that it's like your whole body aches. You sweat. You can't move. You know, you just feel like you just want to die. And that could explain if she got, was using too many pills because that tolerance builds up and you need more and more. Yep. Crime on a dime. You're exactly right. The doctors gave 120 pills a month and then 0. Zip.
That's crazy. It's just forcing people into either self-medicating or going through that whole withdrawal thing. And geez,
it's awful.
Just can't imagine.
And that's why I'm saying, like, if anybody is, currently using and feels like there's no like out, I really feel like there is. I really feel like people can do it, and even though they feel like they can't. And that's why I'm saying, like, I know somebody right now in my life that is using, and I wish they wouldn't, So I know I come from, I think everybody in this chat probably has been touched by opioids or heroin or meth or one of these holy hell drugs. I just read Angie B's out loud. One of these drugs, that just can kill you. And then not to mention all of the fentanyl, and now these animal tranquilizers someone just died from. I think yesterday I heard about it. Whole new pill now.
What is that one?
This is, let me see. This is animal tranquilizer. There's a name for it, and I hear about it because in Florida this shit is rampant.
Is that like horse tranquilizers? Ketamine?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a big thing here.
So it's all over. Xylazine started routinely showing up in the drug supply in 2019, but didn't take off until the coronavirus pandemic in 2020. Also known as Tranq. 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 Xylazine can give users horrific skin lesions that can result in amputations.
Oh my God.
Are you kidding me? You guys, what is going on? Look at this. Here's a woman that it's a veterinary tranquilizer. Oh my God. This is the worst of the worst. Let's see. Oh God, I got my windows all messed up here. All right, let's get rid of this one. Here we go. This is the OBS expert here. I'm not supposed to screw this stuff up. I was called the OBS expert one time. Isn't that a joke? J is for muted.
I'm not gonna lie.
It's okay. J is for muted. Yeah. Okay, so Tranq dope. You telling me after all that it's behind a payload? Oh shit.
If you're sharing something, I can't see it.
Oh, just you have to. Oh, here. Let me share it with you. Sorry. I've got dual windows going on here. Okay, you should see it now.
Yep.
All right. So this is in the New York Times, and I can't read it because you have to pay to read it. Ashhoge. Oh, no, I can see it. Tracy McCann. All right. So over a matter of weeks, this is from January 7th. Shit. So this is brand new. This just happened this year. Okay. Over a matter of weeks, Tracy McCann watched in horror as bruises she was accustomed to getting from injecting fentanyl began hardening into an armor of crusty, blackened tissue. Something must have gotten into the supply. Switching corner dealers didn't help. People were saying that everyone's dope was being cut with something that was causing gruesome, painful wounds. I'd wake up in the morning crying because my arms were dying, Miss McCann, 39, said. She's 39. In her shattered Philadelphia neighborhood, increasingly drug-hot zones around the country, an animal tranquilizer called Xylazine, known by street names like Tranq Dope, and Zombie Drug, is being used. That's what I was talking about earlier when we were talking about this.
Zombies.
Yeah, that literally it makes people like zombies. Is being used to bulk up illicit fentanyl, making its impact even more devastating. As if we need that, right?
I was going to say, as if fentanyl's not bad enough.
Right. Xylazine causes wounds that erupt with a scaly dead tissue called eschar. Untreated, they can lead to amputation. It induces a blackout stupor for hours, rendering users vulnerable to rape and robbery. When people come to, the high from the fentanyl has long since faded and they immediately crave more. Because xylazine is a sedative and not an opioid, it resists standard opioid overdose reversal treatments. So Narcan isn't going to help you.
Mm-mm.
More than 90% of Philadelphia's lab-tested dope samples were positive for xylazine. And it's too late for Philly, said Sean Westfall, an outreach worker with Prevention Point Philadelphia, a 30-year-old health services center. Philly's supply is saturated. If other places around the country have a choice to avoid it, they need to hear our story. So they found xylazine in 36 of our states and Washington, D.C. Yikes. And this was dated back to even November, them finding it in the supplies.
So when cops and stuff are carrying around Narcan to help people who have taken fentanyl, it's not going to help them anymore because it's got this tranquilizer thing in it.
Right.
Terrible.
Yep. And it almost feels to me, and I don't understand why they don't treat it as such. Look at this. Miss McCann shows a photo of herself last summer shortly before she fled Kensington when she weighed about 90 pounds. Sad. So sad.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have like News Nation like having Xana's mom on in that state. It just makes me sick. Hi, Carrie.
That is sick.
Carrie's in chat.
Hey, Carrie.
They're all gonna laugh at you. It is. It's absolutely sad. But I don't understand why they don't treat this like terrorism, since it's coming in from places like China and Mexico. Wouldn't that be? I mean, it's actually killing our people, and now they've made a version that's resistant to Narcan. I don't think that's a coinky dink.
Yep.
They're like, oh, they can they're saving their lives. So now we have to come up with something lethal that is going to kill them.
Yeah, they're basically targeting vulnerable people and taking away any chance of saving them with the Narcan stuff.
Yeah, it's really, it is. It's almost like, come on, man. You know, it seems like we can do more. It just seems like we can do more, that we should be doing more.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what we're doing. I just feel like the whole war on drugs thing is so like convoluted. Like that whole thing started in the Reagan administration. I mean, let's not fool ourselves. The war on drugs bullshit's been going on since the 80s. Hardcore. I would love to dive into that because it's so interesting to go back in time to a place that, like the 80s, always felt so innocent to me. And now the more that I learn, you know, I'm getting older, my perspective changes. Now I'm seeing like things were just as fucked up back then. I was just more innocent. I don't know. I mean, what do you think about that? Like, how do you feel about that? Because the things we're learning that even happened in the 60s are fucked up. But I always felt like, oh my God, the 60s were like the Leave It to Beaver age. No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. There was so much racism and riots, and like the city of Detroit was burned down in the 60s. I had no idea until I got older. It's just crazy. You know, the experimental things that were going on and on our general public back then. Mm-hmm. And then what's crazy, and here's a freaking mind bender for you. We did all these experimental things back in the 60s, like with the psychological drugs and the psychologists and psychiatrists monitoring the, experiments and that. And we had no idea what it was going to do to these people. So the CIA actually took Harvard students because they're smart. And the reason they took students from Harvard was because their whole goal was about mind fucking the enemy. So it was all a military thing at the end of the day. It wasn't about like controlling the masses. It was how can we mind control the smartest of the smart of the soldiers?
Mm-hmm.
So let's take our geniuses that are at our universities and let's give them these drugs and try to brainwash them, essentially. So they do it. So these kids signed up. I have no idea like what they were offered in exchange for signing up for these experiments. But Do you want to know who signed up for one of them? Harvard student? I'll give you one guess. If you have one. You give up?
Yeah.
Ted Kaczynski, actually. Ted Kaczynski was going to Harvard. He was like a genius in mathematics. He was like going to go into engineering and all this stuff. Like brilliant guy. And he signed up for this. This is no joke. I mean, this is real. But when he did the Unabomber shit, they didn't tell you all this. They didn't sit there and go, well, hey, but guess what, guys? We fucked him up like about 30 years ago. And we used all these fucked up drugs on him. And we played all this negative recordings over and over and over and over. And then we just set him loose. And he became very disgruntled with society. Because he wasn't the same. So he like drifted away from his family, but he tried to continue. He went out and he was going he was in a PhD program at Berkeley. He is the most interesting. He has a manifesto, and it's absolutely, we should read it one night because it seriously predicts all of this technology. He was not about technology, so he couldn't take it anymore. And it was like he was warning them of things, you know, that you have to be careful with this and you have to be careful with that. And he didn't agree with what was going on in society and the corruption, and he didn't know what to do. So he wanted to go off the grid. So he did. He went and lived in a cabin in the middle of nowhere. And that was when he started sending the bombs. And with the bombs came messages. So he was trying to get messages out. They weren't putting it together. And he eventually got busted. But they don't tell you the backstory with these guys. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's an injustice to the American people to have these things happen in our country and then, you know, find out, you know, be fed the story, which is true that he did do all these bombs and he sent all of them out and it was bad and people were injured and died and that's horrible. But they don't make it make sense. It's some lone bomber or some lone lunatic or some anti-government conspiracy theorist. So I think a lot is coming, especially with the JFK thing coming out as being not a conspiracy. Everybody who was teased and said, put on your tinfoil hats, yada, yada, yada. Not so funny anymore. It's not so far-fetched anymore. And I think that's shook a lot of people. I really do. Let me see. We should go over that one night though. We should do like maybe a members live and we'll just go through Ted Kaczynski's story.
Definitely, because that sounds really interesting. I don't know anything about him.
And you know, I don't think I really didn't either. I didn't either because I never really paid much attention to him. He looked like a mountain man when he was arrested. Literally looked like something, you know, he was like a Sasquatch. But check this out. Let me show you what he looked like when he went to Harvard Law School or Harvard University. Check this out. You guys are going to shit. And some of you probably already know what he looked like. But based on what he looked like when he was arrested, you'd never know. Okay, so here is Ted Lee. And just FYI, he is in the Supermax in Colorado. Just as a random fun fact, he is in there with Terry Nichols of the Oklahoma City bombing. But I believe they are all by themselves on death row or in the Supermax. Okay. Here is Ted. Shit. I think potatoes fading on me. It's getting late there. If you need to hop off, you can.
No, my internet was cutting in and out, so I couldn't hear you
Uh-oh.
for some of the stuff, but it's back now.
Uh-oh. Better get on that internet company there. British
Like
internet.
I already have. I've got new internet. It should be fine, but I don't know. Maybe it's tired.
Yeah, it's late there. Okay, so here's...
It's like, just get off, go to bed.
There's Ted. I think his brother actually ended up turning him in.
I can't see.
Oh, yeah. That's how it happened. It's on YouTube.
I can't see because my phone died.
Oh, for God's sakes. Hold on.
Telling you, everything's telling me to go to bed.
I know. I don't even know why you're still here. I'm just kidding. All right, here. Let me show you. I'll just share my entire window with you.
Thank you.
Okay. So there he is. Oh, Lainey, if you don't have sound, I feel for you, babe. I love how people try to fuck you up, though, with that. It's like, I know everybody can hear. But yeah, he was a very, very handsome man. Very smart. Had a bright future ahead of him. But yeah, I mean, I just don't feel like it's fair to not hear the whole story. I don't think it's cool to do that. Did I ask them to do that?
Mm-hmm.
And even though he became disgruntled and did what he did, like, I don't know. He signed up for a damn experiment and came out messed up and couldn't, like, function in society. But there he is in jail. There's a Getty Images photo, black and white. But yeah, I mean, it's really sad, actually.
After they use them for these experiments and stuff, do they not follow up with any kind of help? They just set them free and then, oops, something happened. He's crazy.
Yeah, that's what they do. Literally. I think that's exactly what they do.
Sad.
Let me see if I can... All right, hang on. Okay, just really quick. Here's ooh, let me share. I love this. I love the old footage in that. Hold on. Let me show you what I'm seeing here. Now we're getting into the Unabomber. You know, that's how it goes around here, though, isn't it? One thing leads to another. But when we did the Manson thing, we had so many things that were, like, connected. We're like, wait, what? What do you mean a Beach Boy was, like, had Manson living at his house? The Beach Boys, I thought they were squeaky clean. Not so much. Yeah. Nope. A lot of my innocence has been ripped away from me, you know? Where's my Beavis? Where's my Beavis thing? Soundbite. Where he's like, wow. Oh, here it is.
Whoa. I never realized this stuff. Yeah, you've really opened up my eyes.
You've really opened up my eyes. Lordy, lordy, has my eyes been opened. Okay, so there's Ted. And it says, a series of purposely brutalizing psychological experience may have confirmed Theodore Kaczynski's still forming belief in the evil of science while he was in college. But he wrote a manifesto, and it basically predicts, like, civilization and the digital world and how fucked up it is. And we're going to have to go through it because it is fascinating. So it says here, most of us may believe we already know Ted Kaczynski. According to the conventional wisdom, Kaczynski, a brilliant former professor of mathematics turned Montana hermit and mail bomber, is simply mentally ill. He is a paranoid schizophrenic, and there is nothing more about him to interest us. But the conventional wisdom is mistaken. I came to discover that Kaczynski is neither the extreme loner he has been made out to be, nor in any clinical sense, mentally ill. He is an intellectual and a convicted murderer. And to understand the connections between these two facts, we must revisit his time at Harvard. So it's the Murray experiment. Oh, this person actually wrote with him starting in July of 98. Wow. This is going to be something we need to do a dive on. I wonder if he remembers. He said at Harvard that he had fantasies of revenge and began to dream of escaping into the wilderness. And he became fixated on dualistic ideas of good and evil and on a mathematical cognitive style that led him to think he could find absolute truth through the application of his own reason. Wow. Almost like he's too smart to even like function. You know what I mean? Like, I don't even understand what that even means. Okay, so yeah, his brother David, that's what I wanted to get to. His brother David recognized his writing in the manifesto and turned him into the FBI. And they arrested him in his Montana cabin, April 3rd, 1996. The anniversary is coming up. How about that? Cash me outside. How about that?
For donuts?
Speaking of for donuts, I've got new merch coming out. Put a 1 in chat if you know what
For donuts?
means.
1.
Do you know what for donuts is, Potato?
For donuts?
For donuts. What is it?
For donuts?
I swear to God, I'm losing my mind. I am losing my mind. Oh my gosh. Oh, everybody says they're going crazy with the rabbit holes on the Idaho 4.
Oh God.
I know. Be careful. There's a lot of fake shit out there. There's a lot of fake pictures. There's a lot of fake accounts. There's a lot of fake Instas and Twitters and Facebooks and YouTubes.
Abort mission if you find yourself in one of those holes.
Yeah, just jump right out. It ain't worth the headache.
Slowly.
It really isn't. You know, there's really a lot of missing people and a lot of people that need attention brought to their cases, and there's actually a lot of bad shit happening every day. And that's why I like to I like to talk about all kinds of stuff here. And that's why I love you guys and the team. You guys put up with me and all of my stuff, like going from Debbie Collier to Ted Kaczynski. Who can do that? Who can do that? No one.
Did I ask you
just
to do
here?
that?
Ro.
Causing Papa.
Who was Ro?
Papa?
Ro causing Papa. Ro. Who's Ro? Oh man, you can't make it up. But that's why I just like talking about like broad stuff. I talk about what interests me, and I just so happen to find like-minded individuals, or at least they pretend to be like-minded. Sometimes they humor me. See, she's laughing because it's true. That is true story. Sylvia says, "Do it for the anniversary, Jay." Oh, that's a good idea.
When is that?
August the 3rd. He was arrested in Montana.
Oh.
Okay, so Sifta says, I know about Roberta, but I don't know about donuts. Lala found the channel during the Kanika case. I didn't cover the Kanika case. Ro? Wait.
Because you're a liar.
I didn't cover the Kanika case. You got me mixed up with somebody else, Lala. La 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 la.
La 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 means let me finish.
Why are people such
You can't tell
idiots?
me.
You can't tell me in your accent.
In your accent.
This is for Potato.
Given the fallout.
Given the fallout.
You can't tell me. You
In
can't
your
tell me
accent?
with your accent that.
How about Kanye West? He's another one that we could talk about.
Yeah.
What a genius.
He is a genius.
Kanye West
No one's
managed
talking
to
about now.
cancel himself
Uh-huh.
so he could live his new marriage without being treated like a Kardashian. And
Yeah.
I hope he's
couldn't
happy.
believe it when you said he got married.
I know. I was like,
It's
what?
like, what?
Yeah, it's brilliant.
Like who?
It just dawned on
Wasn't
me.
it one of his designers or something?
Yeah, one of the designers at Yeezy, which he just completely like got Adidas to boot him from his contract. His contract that he never would have gotten out of, right?
No. No one's gonna let that go.
No. Adidas
But
would
they're
have
gonna let
owned
it go?
Yeezy. Adidas would have owned Yeezy. So
Yeah.
now he walks away, he's out of the contract, and he still owns his own name and brand.
Mm-hmm.
It's great. It's great.
Genius.
I love to see a celebrity play the game and win against the elitists in the media. It's great.
Yeah. We're all over here thinking he's gone crazy and stuff, but he's just off living his life with his new wife. No one cares anymore.
I don't think Kanye's gay. I don't think that at all.
Gay? No.
I just got here and your phone asking about Ted Kaczynski. Huh?
You buzzed?
Jackie says, I would love to hear about Kanye. Somebody wanted to know about the for donuts.
For donuts?
Like, you don't recognize that, guys? You don't recognize the food being cooked in the background? Listen again.
For donuts?
That would be Grub Truck. And I have no idea why, but the guy walked up and said for donuts. And I've always said for donuts ever since then. So now we have a for donuts. We have a for donuts shirt. Would you like to see it really quick before we go? You're supposed to say yes. You're supposed to say, oh my God, yes, I couldn't go to bed without seeing it.
Yes, please.
Yes, please. And I think that we should do the Kaczynski rundown on the anniversary of him being captured.
Mm-hmm.
What was I doing? I was showing you the damn merch.
For donuts.
For donuts. It's the one guy that comes up. I think Maddie like puts her like slams her hands on the thing. It's so sad that I know this, but she slams her hands down or something and he walks up and then it's
Yeah, the guy behind the counter says something like he's desperate for something. Or
He wants
whatever, and
donuts.
That dude says for donuts. He's like, yeah, for donuts.
He's like, yeah, for donuts.
Yeah,
like,
I'll
what
take
does
some
that
donuts.
even mean?
Roro causing Papa.
Roro. Who was Roro?
Is that like? Is it like code?
Code words.
Do they make donuts at the Grub Truck? Inquiring minds want to know about donuts. Damn it. Okay, so you just snorted. All right, let me show you the design. Let's see. We've got a shirt. We've got a bandana. We've got a sticker.
Look at that little donut. So
Isn't he cute? We have a little mascot, guys. Okay, let me screenshot this. Okay, here you go. Da 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 da. The unveiling of Jay's
For donuts?
And look at the little, it's kind of blurry. It's kind of blurry because I just screen grabbed it, but I'm telling you, look, it's got a grub truck in the background. You can't see it really well, but it says J is for donuts, Moscow, Idaho, and the little donut guy. Everybody wants a donut. Everybody go to Krispy Kreme. When the hot sign is on, you got to stop. Carrie says it's so cute.
It is cute.
Yeah, it's for donuts.
For donuts?
I didn't want to see you again for the rest of my whole life. And I didn't want to see anybody else either.
All right. Well, I think we're going to wrap this up. Thanks, guys, for joining. I know you guys joined to hear about Miss Debbie Collier. May she rest in peace. And hopefully her family has gotten some closure and they're able to move on, because that's horrific. It's a horrific way to hear about your loved one going, regardless of the reason. And I don't think we're really entitled to know everything. I just was kind of throwing just that speculation out there just because I read that. So, but yeah, we'll definitely go over the Kaczynski thing. And Potato, it's always lovely to have you. Given the fallout, it's been wonderful.
Thank you for having me.
And I will let you go so you can get some shut-eye.
Go to bed.
All right. Well, good night, everybody. And thank you guys for gifting memberships tonight. We have new members. We have Dixie. Welcome, Dix. Hope you don't mind if I call you that. If you do, I'll just call you D's Nuts. Just kidding. Just kidding.
These nuts.
We also have Stephanie from KC. Thank you, Steph. Yvette has subscribed. Cooking, Crime, and Cannabis Podcast. Who are you? Get in my belly. Get in my belly.
Jennifer loves horses.
We have to check out Cooking, Crime, and Cannabis Podcast. Damn, they got the munchie. They got the cannabis. They got the cooking. They got the
donuts.
They got the donuts. And they got the true crime. They got it all wrapped up into
what more do you need?
Right. You don't need shit.
There was leakage.
Jackie says Roberta. Let's see. Sherry subscribed. And this is an interesting name. Soup Her Car Audi LT. Boom. They subscribe to.
What you are witnessing is real. The participants
So
are
I think
not
that is
actors.
it. So thank you guys so much for your support. Thanks for being here. Again, thank you to Potato. You guys give her lots of British love in the chat. And thank you, Eileen Fitz. She says, I just recently found your channel. The first live I made it to. It was fun. I really like your vibe. Well, at least somebody does. Yeah. I'm just kidding. D's Nuts and D's Donuts. Sylvia, you crack me up. You guys are awesome. Stay safe, guys. Stay awesome. Enjoy your Thursday night. Tomorrow is Friday. Yay. It is the weekend. Friday. So I'll see you guys tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Good night and dance it out.
Bye.
I don't give a damn. I don't really care about you and your problems. I don't give a damn. You talk way too much.